Jaguar Chapter 21, starting on page 212. Tyler crawled into the hammock outside the cook tent and fell asleep with his rifle resting on his chest. Flana was about 50 feet away from me, tied to another tree. I could see her struggling to get loose, but it didn't do her any good. Tyler didn't wake until late afternoon. The first thing he did was check on Doc. When he came out, he looked at Flana. He's alive, but he doesn't look good. He went into the cook tent and came back out eating something. I guess I'm about ready to move out. He walked over and untied me. I want you to get the map and show me where the collar is. Then I want you to get the telemetry gear and show me how it works. I brought out a map and showed him the last telemetry location. Then I brought out a receiver and a collar and showed him how to track with it. What's the frequency of the collar I'm after? I gave him the number and he dialed it in and held an antenna up. He didn't pick up the signal. You're too far away, I said. You'll have to get within 5 miles before you pick it up. He wasn't happy about this. Any reason why I should trust you? No, I said, but I could care less what happens to Silver. He set us up. Tyler laughed. That's the spirit. Now, what's going to happen to us? I'm going to tie you back up. Then I'm going to find my old friend Silver. What about my father? I'm afraid he's on his own. We can't just leave him by the tent by himself, Flana shouted. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do, Tyler said. He tied me to a tree and walked out of camp. I heard the Zodiac start and go across the lake. You should have told me about Silver, Flana said. I didn't put it together until last night, but you're right. I should have told you. I looked over at Doc's tent. There was a movement inside. A moment late, Doc came stumbling out and fell down. Dad! Bob! He slowly got to his feet and stood there for a moment, trying to get his balance. I heard the Zodiac start back up and come across the lake. What's going on? Doc asked. There's no time to explain, Flana said. You need to get back in the tent and act as if you're dead. Doc hesitated. Just do what Flana said, I shouted. He turned around and stumbled back inside. A minute later, Tyler came back into camp carrying a backpack slung over his shoulder. If Silver happens to show up while I'm gone, tell him that I fixed all the boats just like he fixed mine. And if he wants the missing parts, he can come find me. I got them right here. He patted the pack. And Jake, this little tracking thing better work. If it doesn't, well, I'm sure you can put 2 and 2 together. Have a good day. Tyler walked out of camp. Flana and I just stared at each other. She waited about 10 minutes, then yelled to Doc that it was all right to come out. He came out of the tent, walked over to me on shaky legs. What's going on? He asked. He was in bad shape, and I was afraid he'd pass out before he could cut me loose. You need to get the knife to cut the ropes, I said very slowly. He nodded and stumbled over to the cook's tent and came back with a knife. Without a word, he cut through my ropes. As soon as I was free, he collapsed. I went over to Flana and cut her rope. Then we both ran back over to Doc. I didn't have time to tell you, she said, but before that maniac came into our camp, your father was showing us some signs of improvement. She cradled Doc's head in her lap. I'm afraid he's relapsed. What's going on, Jake? You know as much as I do. Silver's looking for the Mirabecca gold mines, and Tyler's looking for him. We need to find a place to hide before Tyler gets back. He won't be back for a while. As soon as he finds Silver, he's not going to come find us, I told her. I gave him Beth's radio frequency, not the Indians. She'll hear Tyler coming a mile away. He'll never get close to her. But he'll be back eventually. Hopefully, I'll be able to find Silver before Tyler returns. I tried to sound confident. What do you mean? I'm going to go out and look for him. I don't think that's a good idea, Jake. Why not? What if Silver doesn't want to help us? He's up to his neck in this. There's no telling what he'll do. I hadn't quite worked through this part of the plan, but I didn't want to debate it with her. There wasn't enough time. Finding Silver was our only hope. Maybe we should get Doc back into the tent, I said. We can talk about this later. You're right. We carried him back into the tent. "I'll go down and get more water," I said. I ran to the lake and got in the Zodiac. Tyler had taken the spark plug out of the engine, so I had to paddle out to the boat. I found Silver's underwater flashlight, a box of shotgun shells, and some dry rags. I wanted to find the shotgun Tyler had thrown into the lake. If he returned while I was gone, I hoped Flana would have a change of heart about using it. I got back to the Zodiac and paddled out to where I thought Tyler had tossed the gun. I stripped my clothes off and dove in. The bottom was deeper than I expected. I also had thought that it would be flat and sandy with the middle as it was along shore. But instead, it was covered with huge, blocky stones. I ran out of breath and had to come back for air. I dove again. Just as I reached the bottom, something very large came at me from behind of the stones. A dolphin! I was so startled that I nearly sucked in a lungful of water. The dolphin passed within inches of me, disappeared into the gloom. I shone my flashlight in the dolphin's wake and saw something glittering in the light. I knew it wasn't the shotgun, but I grabbed it anyway, then swam to the surface for air. I held onto the side of the Zodiac with the left hand and caught my breath. I opened my right hand and stared in its amazement. It was another golden Jaguar, about 3 times the size of the first one. I realized that the stones beneath the lake might not be just big rocks, but the ruins of a city. Perhaps the fabled lost city connected with the Mirabecca gold mines. The rest of the city was probably all around us, buried under centuries of tropical decomposition. Silver didn't have to look further than our own backyard for his precious treasure. There was no time to celebrate my discovery. We still needed to get Doc out of here, and our only hope of achieving this was being stalked by a psychopath. I had to find Silver before Tyler did. I dove again without success. I resurfaced and looked up at the sky. Dark, ugly clouds were starting to move in, and the trees surrounding the lake were beginning to sway. One more dive, I told myself. I saw the dolphin again, but it kept its distance. I searched until my lungs felt as if they were going to burst. Then I saw the shotgun. It was laying at the bottom near a particularly large stone. I grabbed the shotgun and swam back to surface. I climbed into the Zodiac and paddled to shore. When I got there, I took the shotgun apart, dried it off with the rags. When I finished, I ran back to camp. Flana was in the tent with Doc. Quietly, I put the shotgun and box of shells outside the entrance, then went inside with a bucket of water. "How is he?" "Not good." She dipped the cloth into the bucket and started sponging him down. I slipped back outside and went over to the tent where we had our gear stored and grabbed 2 bundles of climbing rope. I hope it was enough to do the trick. I ran back down to the lake, started the morpho, and took it off. Before I left the area, I flew over camp and waggled my wings. Flana came out of the tent to see what was going on. Wish me luck, Flana, I thought, and I headed west.